Welcome back, True Seeker. It is February 25th, 2023, and top headline this morning, international story, a socialite from Hong Kong and China, Abby Choi, only 28 years old, has been found dismembered. They're saying 3 people have been arrested for her murder, including her husband, who she got married to when she was very young back in 2012. But a year ago today, we were talking about how significant this day is to Pope Francis, the first Jesuit pope. A year ago today, he was in Russia meeting with Putin, a day after Russia's military intervention in Ukraine began. And what I'm going to show you is how this woman just had a fashion shoot in Paris, France, the home of the Jesuits. Again, Pope Francis is the first Jesuit pope. Understanding simple things like that and how they moved the World Cup to the day after his 86th birthday was how we accurately predicted that Argentina, his native country, would beat France in the 22nd World Cup in the year 22, making France 2-2 in championships when Jesuits equals 22. But once again, I'm going to show that her murder, regardless of who was arrested today, traces right back to those Jesuits and the Pope. And again, every day there's a big ritual on the calendar, and who's this calendar named after? Pope Gregory the 13th. If you're new here, we're going to talk about the Kabbalistic practice of coding numbers into words called Gematria. Again, look up the songs Gematria, the killing name. Also, look up the song Murder by Numbers by The Police, where killings as simple as ABC is 1, 2, 3. Starting here, her name, Abby Choi, has a gematria 38. And if you go decode your name and you find that it equals 38, have no fear. But if you are in the entertainment industry or in the world of celebrity, then maybe have a little caution, because this number is attached to celebrity death so often. And look at the movie poster for Murder by Numbers. The E's changed to a 3 and the B's changed to an 8. And words like murder equate to 38 and 83. We'll go over how all these values work if you're new here. It's very simple. The film Murder by Numbers came out, or the song Murder by Numbers came out in 83. The film stars Sandra Bullock, whose name is 83. The film released, very important day to the Jesuits, Ignacy, from Waco to Oklahoma City to the Revolutionary War. But words like killing, death, RIP, they all have the Gematria 38, as does the word Gematria, English, energy, Kabbalah, where all of this comes from, like how this nation's capital is on the 38th parallel, like how pandemic equals 38, and Fauci, the Jesuit, stepped down after 38 years of working in D.C. on the 38th parallel. Pentagon equals 38. You can't get more death and killing than the Pentagon. But there's also an Agatha Christie story that's been made into an Amazon series, the ABC Murders, which alludes to this topic of killing by ABC 123. And here's the timeline of her life. Married in 2012 to Alex Kwong. Just recently, on February 13th, which is a very fateful day in history, it's the 44th day of the year. The word kills 44, so is ranch. Remember when Antonin Scalia was found dead on the ranch on February 13th in the time of number 44? MLK killed on 4-4. Malcolm X killed on a date with 44 numerology. So on and so forth. She was reported missing 8 days later. 8 days later. And now today, the arrests for the dismemberment of her body. But today is the 56th day of the year. Again, she just had a fashion shoot in Paris, France with La Officielle Monaco. And again, special number here to the Jesuits. Paris, France, 56. Society of Jesus, that's the formal title of the Jesuits, 56. The ABC Murders, 56. You'd be blown away by how often these Jesuits use this 56 number in major rituals. Keep in mind they're saying 3 people were arrested today on the 56th day of the year. We always talk about the pairing of 3 and 56. It's why we loved a 3-point spread in Super Bowl 56, especially the day after Cooper Kupp's former school won by 3 points over the Idaho State Bengals. If you recall, Cooper Kupp won the MVP of that Super Bowl, beating the Bengals by 3 points. But when you spell out 3, it has Gematria 56, like the word light, like the word Abrahamic, and why all 3 of those things matter is because there's 3 Abrahamic religions that are all based in Genesis, and in the 3rd verse of Genesis, God makes light. And all of this code is biblical. Again, it comes from Kabbalah. Kabbalah's physical model is the tree of life, which has 3 pillars and 22 paths. Genesis 3:2:2 is about the tree of life. So anyhow, 3 arrested on the 56th day of the year after the fashion shoot in Paris, France, just days ago. As for the fashion shoot being on the 44th day of the year while she's 28, again, we see how these numbers come together month after month on the kill date. Last week, we had the kill date, and we had another dead comedian. Comedians seem to get the worst of it on the kill date, but we also had the actress, whose name escapes me, but her younger brother dead at 28 for unknown reasons. And in the story, they said unknown cause of death, found in the home, but police say nothing suspicious. And again, you see that all the time in the news with these celebrity deaths. A young person dead, and police saying nothing suspicious. It's like, how's that? I mean, a person in their 20s dies in the home, and that's not suspicious? Who dies of natural causes in the 20s? You only see this stuff in the headlines. The other year, it was a Disney actor. He was like, I think he was 20 years old. And they said, found dead in his sleep. Police said nothing suspicious. Natural causes suspected. It's like, what 20-year-old is dying from natural causes? This stuff's a joke. But anyhow, her fashion shoot on the 44th day of the year. She's 28. These are numbers related to killing. Talk about them week after week, month after month. Here's the latest example. And then also strange, from her birthday, July 11th, to her disappearance, February 21st, 225 days later. Now here we are on 225 and the arrests are made. And we talked about this number in a big way when George Floyd was killed on the 44th parallel north by the 44-year-old officer. He died on his 225th day of his age. And then later Derek Chauvin got 22 and a half years in prison. But the big thing was that right after George Floyd was killed, the next day in the news, well, really they said he was killed on May 25th. And then the news broke on the 26th. That was the day they released the cell phone footage. But then the day after that was the day that the Church of Minneapolis, the Catholic Church, settled for $22.5 million for the sexual abuse of children in the state. And then right after that, we had the supposed teacher of George Floyd come out named Waynell Sexton, who recalled what a young, sweet boy he was. Waynell Sexton, who was just so adamant about what a sweet boy George Floyd was. I mean, just think about it. So all this 225, and then we tracked how that number goes with the Trinitarian formula, which is a Catholic thing. So again, 56 is a Catholic thing. It's a Bible thing. 225 is a Catholic thing. And remember, George Floyd was killed in the Twin Cities, where one of them is St. Paul. And if you've ever been to the Twin Cities, it's very Catholic. You know, you're driving in on the interstate. Huge Catholic thing. And here, I want to make a point because this woman was born in 94. And if you drive into Minneapolis, you'll drive in on Interstate 94. And again, George Floyd was pulled out of a Mercedes-Benz ML 320 and killed in front of police cruiser 320. So notice where 320 and 94 come together. Roman Catholic Church 94, Roman Catholic Church 320. It's also 193, which is the 44th prime number, going with her shoot on the 44th day of the year. And very Catholic Paris, France, where the Friday the 13th superstition comes from because of the Knights Templar who served the Catholic Church. But anyhow, 94, 320. And remember, the Catholic Pope in the year 320 AD declared that Jesus Christ's birthday was on December 25th, which had always been the sun's birthday. And the Catholic Church has celebrated the sun's birthday since 1225, or on 1225 since the year 274 AD. In case you're new here, the Jesuit motto, Isus Hominum Salvator, is 274 when you run the alphabetic order forwards. 266 when you run it in reverse, like how Pope Francis is the 266th Pope and the first Jesuit. But again, it was a huge Roman Catholic Jesuit ritual with George Floyd, which, you know, transitioned into the Black Lives Matter protest that tore apart the nation, which is another 56 thing. And again, it goes with the whole Black Power, Black Panther thing, where all of their original meetings were in the Catholic Church of San Francisco. Knows how Black Power and Black Lives Matter are both 56 and 106 and Black's 106. And anyhow, all of this stuff, the language, the calendar, it all goes back to the 16th century, the century the Jesuits are created. English and the calendar as we know it are the works of the Catholic Church, and it's why their rituals line up day after day. But here, let's move on. Let's just figure out how much more Catholic this is. So, her husband is Alex Kwong, whose name does have gematria 70, and he's arrested on a date with 70 numerology. And in light of today being the 56th day of the year, remember, the number 56 is the number 70 in base 8 counting. We've talked about that pattern a lot in the time of the pandemic. But today is 70 days after Pope Francis's birthday, and both Vatican and Francis are 70. And it's also the 25th, right? Vatican is also 25. Notice how Vatican is 70 and 119, just like Francis is. Actually, in fact, Francis is 70, 119, 47, just like Vatican. And the Vatican's birthday is February 11th. 211's the 47th prime. But it's 70 days after Pope Francis's birthday, and notice the word Pope itself. Pope is 52. She disappeared on February 21st, the 52nd day of the year, right? Now here we are on the 25th day of the month, and it's also have the 11 in reverse, which is the master number. 56, of course, breaks down to 11. A lot of the very special numbers, including her name, 38 in numerology is 3 plus 8 is 11. 56 is 5 plus 6 is 11. But again, this simple code, and if you need clarification on how these number values work, Pope equals 52 when you take the alphabetic order. A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, up to Z is 26. Pope equals 25 when you take the alphabetic order with numerology. So the difference would be P is worth 16 in the first cipher, where the word equals 52. P is worth 7 in the blue cipher, because the numerology is 16 is 1 plus 6 is 7. O, the 15th letter is 1 plus 5 is 6. So you just make each letter a single-digit number, add up the word. Pope is 56 when you run the alphabetic order in reverse. Z is 1 back to A is 26, and Pope is 11 when you run it in reverse with numerology. But year after year, we're talking about similar types of things. Last year, it was the big ritual with the Pope traveling to Russia to meet privately with Putin. And we know that Russia-Ukraine was a giant Jesuit ritual, the entire build-up up to it, and that's why we were able to successfully predict why things would pop off on February 22nd, which we weren't wrong about. Biden addressed the nation at 2:22 p.m. on 2/22 about what was going on in Russia-Ukraine, which again is the number that represents order out of chaos, which is the motto these people work by. Create problems to bring about the solutions, to gain more power from them. And there's a good Jesuit puppet, Ron DeSantis, on the 56th day of the year, promoting his new book. I wish they'd promote my book about the pandemic and the Jesuits. I wish I could get some front page recognition on CNN, but we all know why that would never happen. They only promote what's in the club. And sometimes if you're in the club, your life ends in a very fateful way. So RIP to Abby Choi. 28 years old. Very young. And it just reminds me, again, every time I'm covering this stuff, which is all the time, it just reminds me why I wish this knowledge had gone a lot more viral and hadn't been so censored by big tech, which is completely controlled by the Jesuits. But we know why it is. And I always just think, had this knowledge gone viral and the whole world knew about it, would an Abby Choi know better than to go to Jesuit-run Paris and do a fashion shoot on the 44th day of the year? And there's probably something about an Asian woman, too, on the 44th day of the year. Asian's also 44. She was married at age 17. They even say they found her body on the 3rd story. Or, excuse me, on the ground floor of a 3-story house, they had to say. They had to get another 3 in there. And I guess just to make one more point, that they found the first of her body parts on 2/24. If you write out the Society of Jesus, it's 224. It's also 71, like the magazine cover. And the magazine that she posed for, the name of it equals 71. And of course, Catholic 71. Anyhow, R.I.P. And yeah, it makes me wonder if her husband even really is responsible, or if maybe he's just being framed. All right. Thank you, Nathan. Nathan says, easy joke. The salary of an exorcist is $35,000 a year. I wonder why. Thanks for your work. Appreciate that, Nathan. I didn't know that. But for people who don't get it, Catholic 35, again, Holy See 35, the eyes of God, talked about in Genesis 3:5. Whoops, eye is 35. And remember, 12/25, the day that the cat in the sky and the Son of God's birthday, Jesus, 12/25, that number has a square root of 35. And the original name for Jesus is Jesus, which is also 35. And the sun is the eye of God to the occult. Thus, like, when your eyes are open, there's light. When they're closed, it's dark. So when the eye of God is down, it's darkness outside. But appreciate that, Nathan. That's a new one. I did not know it. Thank you, Rest in Gematria. I appreciate it again. And oh, Nathan got in twice. Please say. Yeah, fair point. He says the phrase, please say equals 42. It also equals 48. It's actually got a lot in common with Masonry, but Jesuit and Freemason both got that 42. Modern Freemasonry is a Jesuit creation. The Vatican's birthday is the 42nd day of the year. What a day for a birthday, you know. But, yeah, good observation. Good observation indeed. So, especially the Exorcist one, I find that funny. And let's not forget, one of the Exorcist films is set in Georgetown, right? Can't get more Jesuit than Georgetown. And speaking of 42 and the Jesuits, Georgetown, 42. 57 forwards, like how Vince Lombardi died there at age 57, like how George Washington was 57 years old the year Georgetown was established, the year he became president of the United States. George is also 57 for the record. All right, but yeah, I think that's all I got for this one. And we'll stream some more today, but we'll keep it there for now. And let me just check to make sure if anybody else in the chat has anything else to add for this one. Corrections officer, 201. Interesting. Okay, nice one. Yeah, I'll be back soon. There's more to talk about, but don't want to make this video too long. Then nobody will watch it. So